Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am Curt Williams, your spiritualist guru. Now, today, what I want to discuss are some very hard topics simply because of the recent calamities that have been taking place in our world. No one could have been prepared for what happened over the last couple of weeks. However, I believe that I'm somebody that can relate to some of these things because I believe these things have happened to me. So I can explain to you how it feels to lose everything. I can explain that. I'd like to explain how the Creator, God, has nothing to do with any of this. We can get into the whole notion of highly favored. Well, this is a good time to discuss that because if that is true, there's a lot of great people that didn't seem to be very highly favored. And I'm just saying that the Creator doesn't have anything to do with any of this. Let me first explain to you again and again what exactly the Creator is. By definition, the Creator is what the Creator does. It creates. It is not a persona, not a person, it's a consciousness. A consciousness meaning all thought. Now, with this ability to have all thought, you can also create physical matter. Well, once he decided to create physical matter, then now you get into these kind of complexities where physical matter has time sequences made available to it, because material solid matter always has a seemingly expiration date. So all things have an expiration date, but these things, basically they exist on two planes. One is the astral plane and the other is the physical plane. On the astral plane, nothing ever dies. It just transforms into another form of substantial, radiant, energetic, substantial being, person, planet, star, whatever. But on the physical level, all these things have to decay. That's the reason he created a physical realm, was because in the ethereal realm before the Big Bang, there were angels, and the angels began to act like without purpose. And an existence without purpose is not good for anything as far as growth is concerned. The Creator places a part of Him inside of all things. And by the growth of those individual things, it enables the Creator Himself to grow. That's what this whole thing is about. The Creator is growing by watching free will beings and all kinds of other things grow in their own individual way, without influencing any kind of influence from Him. If He was favoring everybody and causing everybody to do things, that would defeat His own purpose. If He's deciding who's going to win this boxing match or who's going to win this race or tennis match, it's not doing Him any good. It's only doing Him good when it says, hey, all you guys have an equal opportunity, and let's just see how you handle it. Let's just see what you do. Let's see what you do. It's almost like, it sounds kind of cold, but a being that knows everything is not going to be intimidated by seeing fires, because it already knows that the outcome of all this is going to be something that's acceptable to Him. And what I mean by that is this planet is a living, breathing organism. The reason it got to the point where it is through evolution. Evolution means from the standpoint of when the planets were, I'm not going to go back too far, but say you have a sun and you have an earth. Well, the sun gives off radiation. In order for this earth to survive, it has to have something to repel the radiation. Well, what repels the radiation is what is called ozone. What is ozone made out of? Ozone is made out of one thing. Ozone is made from smoke. Smoke from volcanoes, from forest fires. Now, this smoke, as we've seen in the last few days here in Los Angeles, how heavy this smoke can be. Well, once this smoke rises to another level, a high enough level, it's going to venture off and do its thing. Eventually, it will run into a cloud, a storm cloud, and this smoke will be inside of this storm cloud. And in this storm cloud, there's a lot of electricity going on. It's firing. That's where electricity comes from. Now, once this electricity hits the smoke turns into ozone. So basically, these fires are actually replenishing our ozone layer. And that's how the planet develops itself and prepares itself for life. It's a natural thing. You don't have to start a fire. If you don't start a fire will start itself. Lightning will hit a forest, and that will cause that thing to ignite. And in that forest, smoke turns into ozone. And even the trees itself, soil cannot bear fruit forever. Soil only has enough nutrients in it to have only a number of crops. You can't have crop after crop after crop. Ultimately, you will diminish the minerals in that soil. So how do you replenish the soil? Guess what? Burnt wood. Burnt wood ash puts the minerals back. Everything is recycled. Nothing dies. The smoke that's coming off of these buildings will be recycled into something necessary. The ash will cause the earth to have enough minerals to grow everything. So the earth knows how to take care of itself. The problem that we're having now with these fires, I believe, people have their own theories about what and why. I have mine, and mine is the fact that we are what is called a zero civilization. We're not a civilization 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. That is our goal, but we're a civilization 0. We are 0 because we have not yet figured out how to use the planet's resources for energy. Level 1 society has figured out how to acquire energy for free. Now, could you imagine if all energy on this planet was free? That means free food, that means free transportation, really, because the cars or vehicles, if they were that, they would be free to create and the energy that it takes to move them about. So we failed in that over 100 years ago when Nikola Tesla invented and created. He understood the cosmos. He understood what creation was, and he knew that this planet could create free energy. Well, at the same time, he was competing with a guy named Edison. Well, the government is what decides which one they're going to go with, which one they're going to use, which one they're going to patent, which ones that they're going to use on a mass base. Well, however, Nikola Tesla, he spilled the beans. He says that, okay, I'm going to put a amplifier on the North Pole and one on the South Pole, and I'm going to have free energy for the entire planet. Well, the powers that be in this particular government and probably others said, we can't make any money off of that. So we're going to go with Edison because Edison, we can charge people for the stuff. And this is how we can become a wealthy country, by charging people for their energy. That's not a level 1 civilization. So basically you have this power grid with all this electricity running above wires, which is antiquated. And over time, these things do fail. I'm from Altadena. So in Altadena, we would have these winds every year. They were no big thing. And so I would just sit outside until something hit me upside the head and I'd go in. But now it's a situation where the infrastructure is probably getting a little antiquated. And when these winds came this particular time, there was a guy who was looking at a palm tree way up there and on fire. And he was like, how could this happen? How could a palm tree way up there catch on fire? Obviously nobody lit it on fire down here. Well, it had power lines going through it. And so these trees and stuff, they push on these lines, and you never know what kind of breaches. You might have rats crawling on them lines and eating parcels from them. You never know. But I have a very strong feeling that the power grid, the electricity in these systems is probably where the breakdown occurred, simply because we're accustomed to having winds, but we're not accustomed to Altadena burning down. It's never happened before. I've lived there for 50 years. So anyway, you can't blame the creator for something that man has caused. And then the creator also knows that ultimately everything will balance itself out. We should learn from this. We should learn how to go back into time and look up the works of Tesla. If we can supply free energy like we are able to do, that means we could feed people. And once you feed people, the wealth gap is so distorted right now that it seems people who have things have gotten so used to those things, and the people who have not are kind of frustrated. So if we can manage to bring those two together, that's the hardest thing. I don't know as a society if we'll ever be able to do that. The only way to do that is to recognize the fact that all people are the same. If you can, and our political climate has gotten so ridiculously mean that I never thought in my lifetime we would go back to the time when racial discrimination. You have people who are literally trying to take black people back in time. Why? Well, because anytime you have a wealth based on a have and a have-not system, well, the ones who have are going to fight to maintain their position. They don't want to be where you are. So since you're already down here, we might as well just try to find out a mechanism to keep you there, because the longer you are there, the longer we have the possibility to be here. But then there's a lot of poor people too. If we cannot take care of our poor people, then we're not going to be able to rise to a level of civilization, anything. Because that's the first thing that needs to take place. You need to have a government that is willing to say, hey, we have to serve all the people. Because if we don't serve all of the people and just a few, then we're going to end up in this perpetual thing that is against creation. And it's only going to be a certain amount of time before the Creator gets tired of learning this lesson. He's expanding by learning, but he's starting to get to the point where I've learned this lesson of greed, before, and it's getting to be a little out of hand. So it would be a very interesting time for me to explain my experience as far as losing everything. So, like I said, my family home in Altadena, I believe it's not there anymore. I haven't been able to confirm that yet. I haven't been able to go out there simply because the kind of work that I do in security, I'm over here in Holmby Hills guarding them from the calamities of forest fires and in Brentwood. So those things are taking me away from. Now you might ask, how could you not know if your house in Altadena burned down or not? Well, I can explain that by simply saying that particular house, my family home, I was there for 50 years, it was taken away from me about 10 years ago. I lost it 10 years ago. And let me explain how I lost it. When my parents purchased that house when I was a little kid, it cost $30,000. Yes, it's over $1 million now, but $30,000 is how much it cost, and the house note was $800. So it was a manageable thing. And I remember as a teenager, our house note was around $1,200. So it was manageable. As an adult, it went up to $25,000, and it was still there. That's when I got into my adulthood and stuff. Well, later on, I wanted to open my own businesses, group home businesses, and that's when you start taking mortgages out and things like that. So once I got to taking mortgages out and all this, then the house note was around $4,500, which was a lot. I can handle it because my business, I had 2 group homes, and they were, it takes a long time to manage the finances, but once you get it, once you're in there for a few years, you got it, you're locked down, everything is good, you can expand. My goal was to have 5, 6, 7, 15, and create generational wealth for my family. So I can have nieces and nephews who could have a business to go into. Some of them can go into the financial part of the business, and some can go into the due to the physical work of the business. Some can go into, there's a lot of aspects you can go into if you build that kind of, and I just felt it would be a good thing for me. And this is what I tried to do. So getting back to the house situation, about 10 years ago, there was a situation where Bank of America said, okay, how would you like to have your house note reduced in half? Mine was around, $4,500 and $5,000, and I said, ooh, it would be nice if I was back to those days when it was $2,000. Wow, I could buy a new Mercedes. I didn't like Mercedes, but I'd buy something. And so they gave us a proposition we couldn't refuse. And so then they told us how to go about this. They said it very specifically. They said, here's what you do. You fill out this application, and then you're going to get this loan. You're going to get this reconfiguration of your home, and you also have a reduction. But what we want you to do is stop paying your house note for the next 4 months while we're going through the paperwork. And then they will say, now, when you stop paying your house note, make sure you save the money so that if your loan doesn't go through, then you already have and just pay that amount and you're back to square one. Now that's the part that's going to get you. Because once you stop paying, and now next thing you know, you have a balloon payment. Here's what the bank was doing. They had no intention, period, of giving anybody a refi. All they wanted to do was get your balloon up. Once you got their balloon up, then they told you, sorry, your application was denied. In order for you to catch up now, we're going to need a balloon payment of about like $20-something thousand, number one. And now your house note is going to be $6,000 a month or $7,000. It was so ridiculous. It was like, what the hell? What the hell just happened? A lot of things happen when you try to get a deal. We tried to get a deal and it backfired. And so I said, if I'm going to pay $7,000 a month on a house that I'm never going to be able to pay the balance on, because now we're upside down. It's called upside down. You're never going to be able to pay off the balance. You're just going to be paying $7,000 forever. I said, we might as well get out of here and move somewhere because my house needed some work. I had finished most of it, but I needed to still do the kitchen and add one bathroom. I was going to be good. And so I said, well, why don't we go to somewhere where the house is already finished for $5,000 a month? I'm sure we can find something really kind of nice and be better off than this. So that's exactly what we did. And eventually the banks were busted. They found out their game. I even had a real estate agent that wrote a book on how they were doing it. As soon as the application was going in, the application was getting kicked out because if you didn't word it specifically like they wanted you to, they was going to get kicked out. And if you didn't know what that wording was, so thousands upon thousands of people lost their homes. Bank of America got busted. They had to pay everybody money back, millions of dollars in restitutions because of the fact that they stole all these people's homes. So that's why I left Altadena, because of that situation. And then we get into this other situation where my family, mother and sister, decided, I believe, that it wouldn't be a good thing for me to have this kind of generational wealth. I think they had a theory. They had a theory. They understand life. And I believe that their theory was, if Curt has too much, Curt will attract a certain kind of attention. You ever notice how wealthy black men have these women that are hard to resist? I mean, they just hard to resist. Anyway, I'm not going to even mention no names, and these women that are hard to resist know who they are. And it seems like they almost value themselves on a rating system, like I'm worth $1 million, and I'm worth $2 million, I'm worth 3, and I'm worth 4. And the cuter they are, the bigger their butt is, whatever the case may be, they value themselves on, and it's not that difficult to tell a man everything that he wants to hear for a very long time until you. And so I think that my family was afraid I would be vulnerable to that kind of attack. And I probably would have. Normally in situations, the guys get whooped like that, and then they try to hang on to stuff, and they end up with 1 wife, 2 wife, 3 wife, 4, 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and go through all these divorces and stuff. So I think my family was trying to protect me from all that, because as long as you don't have, so I started putting my businesses in my mother's name to protect me from that kind of drama. But I believe that my mother's intention was, I'm not going to let you have this anyway, because somebody else is going to, So as I was saying, I believe that my family wanted to take a different route. They wanted to be involved in a situation where they wanted to raise animals on a farm and this kind of thing, and it was inconsistent with what I wanted to do. Mine took patience and mine took sacrifice. Theirs took, we just need the money, and they just wanted to do the Dr. Doolittle thing, and it didn't mix with what I was trying to do. And so ultimately, I ended up in a situation where I had to start over. And what I need to do right now is segment these talks, because we are going to have a lot to learn over the next year or so on how to survive this situation that we are going through. There is a way to survive this, and the way to survive this, number one, is you can't panic. You can't panic, and you need to have a slight sense of humor about everything, really. It is not until you are at your absolute worst then when the true miracles will begin to happen. Like I said, you have a creator of the universe. He covers all things, but he has a piece of him that's connected to you. Inside that piece of him is called your spirit. That spirit is the one that's navigating your life. That is the one that's trying to get you to do things whether you're listening to it or not. That's the kind of thing that's the day to day. The reason you were in the fire is because that particular thing, that particular aspect of the creator not working. This is a free thing. It's got free will going on, and it's doing all kinds of things to make you discover who you are and who you really are. And I can guarantee you, people who have lost stuff, you are going to find things out about yourself that you never knew existed. You're going to find strength, and you're going to find it in terms like caring and love and compassion. You're going to find things about yourself, and you're going to find ways. You're going to get through this. You're going to get through this because that's the creator creates. He didn't create anything to destroy itself. We do that to ourselves. But this is a very good opportunity to dig into your spirit. Prayer, the problem with prayer is you're asking the big guy to do everything for you. And this is something that you're going to end up having to do for yourself. And you're going to get your answers from communicating with your spirit. Thank you for coming, and we have a lot to talk about because this is going to be a very stressful time, but I knew it would be. I knew it would be, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we have a lot to talk about. Bye-bye.
Love me. Let's go to Curt in Pasadena, California. Welcome to the program. Hi, Curt.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir.
Well, I am a spiritualist, which means my spirit talks to me. And we go back and forth, and we've been going back and forth since I was a child. And it will answer any question that I have for it. Like you, George, you always ask, what is deja vu? I can explain that to you, as well as the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Big Bang, Curt.
Well, that's kind of long. I'd rather do deja vu first.
Okay.
Deja vu is simple.
We'll do the Big Bang during an open line Friday one night.
Thank you. So anyway, the deja vu, what that is since we live in linear time, there is no such thing as something happening and you saw it before. So when you think you've seen something, you could not have seen it because it could not have happened yet. However, we do know these things happen. The reason it happens is because your spirit lives in a place like this hyperspace where the past, present, and future is the same. It knows what's going to happen, so all you're doing is catching up to what your spirit has already seen.
Yeah. Right, I call that panoramic time. It's like your mind is outside of time and it can see all of time from this higher perspective.
Subscribe and protect the life.